Senator Elizabeth Warren slammed corporate interests on Thursday, claiming that they're putting enormous resources toward influencing the courts. She also stressed that, quote, power is not balanced in Washington. During the American Constitution Society's 2013 National Convention, she said, these corporate interests are savvy. They fight every day on Capitol Hill and in the agencies, devoting enormous resources to the task of bending legislations to benefit themselves. But they also devote enormous resources toward influence the courts. Why? Because they know that influencing those who interpret the law is another extremely effective way to achieve their goals. Zach, Warren definitely is coming out swinging lately. We've seen her make her stance very known this last week. Who are these corporate interests lobbying so hard?
Well, the biggest corporate interest on Capitol Hill is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I mean, it claims to represent, hundreds of thousands of small businesses, but in practice, it tends to represent the interests of, a couple dozen very, very large companies. We're talking big banks, who Elizabeth Warren has been, criticizing for a very long time, but also, oil companies, lots of different types of just large conglomerates that have pushed a narrative that's not necessarily specific to their industry. Banking, there's a certain ideology about banking, about consumer finance, and who's responsible when a loan is taken out. There are certain ideologies about the environment with an oil company and who's responsible for the pollution that comes from cars, things like that. But all of these companies want to have low taxes and want to have as little accountability as possible when it comes to shareholders and then the public in general. They want to focus on profits, and that sort of corporations are responsible for profits first and everything else second, if at all, I think is something that has been really, really promoted in a lot of different legal theories over the last 30 years or so. It wasn't a very popular legal theory up until the 1970s, and it's become much more prominent. I think the most egregious version of this is the Citizens United ruling, where we learned that, in fact, corporations are human beings that have the rights to First Amendment speech.
Who knew, Zach? Who knew that corporations have feelings, too?